We're going to talk about how artificial intelligence impacts you and your firm. And the reason we're talking about this now is the best time for you to do what the panel yesterday told you to do. Tim Pratt and his team. Get out ahead of this, because as you can see, corporate legal departments, no matter their size, are only now beginning to think about artificial intelligence. So a lawyer who comes to me or any other in-house lawyer with a plan is a lawyer who's out ahead. So why are we talking about it now? Well, something significant happened in the last 5 years. The machines started to see better than we do. The blue line is the machine. The yellow line is the people. We think it's a blueberry muffin. The machine knows it's a chihuahua. Oh, by the way, I went to the FDCC Evolve website, and I taught myself how to use Snagit, and that's where I got that picture. So thank you, Bob Christie. That's where I got this one. The machines now hear better than we do. Even someone with an accent like mine, the machine understands what I'm saying. And what's significant about this slide is look at the dates. In July of 2016, that is less than 18 months ago, Alexa was misunderstanding 8.5% of what she heard. Now she's misunderstanding 4.9%. Why has it happened so quickly? Why are we talking about this now and not 2 years ago? When in the battle between task-based or rule-based AI, if this, then do that, the rule-based people lost. In the battle between the rules and the data, feeding the system billions and billions of bytes of data, the data won. So now we're in a situation, like it says in the cartoon, that I'm going to miss the days when I was smarter than my phone. So what does it mean to you, and why do we care? AI is going to let lawyers automate routine tasks, predict outcomes, make better arguments, pick better jurors, choose the contract terms that are going to get the job done, predict and control legal costs, help us with our continuing education, help us find quickly and efficiently relevant documents. And the last one is potentially problematic from an ethical and moral situation, and that is predict rogue behavior. Why is this important? Because studies have shown that we're not doing what we went to law school to do. Lawyers spend less than 38% of their time counseling and acting on behalf of clients. We spend the rest of it doing routine, automated tasks. So we're going to start out with an application of artificial intelligence that's still rule or task-based, and this is using chatbots. And a chatbot is going to replace the 24-hour customer service number. You're going to be able to type in your request, and you're going to get an answer. And one of the ways we can do this is through document automation. So several law firms out in Silicon Valley have already created chatbots that let people go online and generate simple documents by answering a series of questions, and it guides you through the process. Legalistic is taking that a step further. They've partnered with Watson, and they're piloting this with an American retailer where they claim they can upload the complaint, generate the answers, the interrogatories, and the request for production in less than 2 minutes. Now, if you want to take this to the next step and show your clients you're future ready and support a fellow FDCC member, Jim Chapman from Virginia is running a pilot with a group of scientists who want to see if we can teach the machines to summarize depositions. We have a non-disclosure agreement drafted up, so if you have depositions, send them to Jim and show your clients that you're future ready, because they're probably not paying you to summarize those depositions anyway. So let the machine do it for you. Allstate has a chatbot that lets employees in the marketing department type in what disclaimers do they need if they're running an ad in a particular state. If somebody at Allstate isn't sure what lawyer to call, they can type in and say, who's my IP lawyer? I have an HR problem. What lawyer should I talk to? Now, one of the things from an insurance perspective and as litigators that we care about is what happens when the chatbots start filing lawsuits. And they did this. Do Not Pay built a chatbot that filed 5,000 lawsuits against Equitas in 24 hours after the data breach. And this has significant impact, as you can imagine. They were all small claims court cases, but a small claim in Tennessee is $25,000. Lawyers are not allowed to defend small claim cases, and you wonder what the impact is on class action opt-outs for those people who sued Equifax in small claims court. So one of the things we want to be able to solve for is the unknown unknowns. Can we build a prediction machine? Now, there's 3 ways to predict something. You can ask the experts, you can ask a crowd of people, or now you can build a logarithm. So there's a project called the Supreme Court Project, and it has looked at every single Supreme Court case from 1791 till today. That's over 24,000 votes. And it used what we call a random forest approach. It looked at all of those cases, and it found out which features and which points they have in common. And it predicted the outcomes at a 70% accuracy rate, which is significantly better than the people do. And one of the things that they found out when they did this globally in criminal cases, judges will give a harsher sentence before lunch than they will after lunch. So keep that in mind. IBM was the first one to monetize this. So you firms want to be in a position to do what IBM did, which is offer machine learning as a service. And it provides a level of analysis that your clients are simply not going to pay for. What reaction are you going to get if you tell someone you want to manually look at 1,000 cases? And it also answers that dreaded question, am I going to win this thing? So one company that did a very good job with this is Gravilytics. Now, California has a GDP bigger than India or France. In 2015, they had 2,100 judges looking at almost 500,000 bench trials. So what Gravilytics does, and they claim they can do it only in Los Angeles and Riverside County, but they will tell you how Judge A ruled, on how many times did he rule for the plaintiffs, how many times did Judge B rule for the defendants. So that's a handy thing to have. You can also get your litigation funding. According to Legalistic, a simple click will tell the plaintiff whether or not they have a chance of, what percentage chance they have of winning a case, whether or not they're worth funding. One of the things that we need to be concerned about potentially is the idea of keeping score, the Yelpification of law, rating lawyers by their win-loss records. There's a justice toolbox, kind of like Gravilytics. They're only in DC and Maryland, and they have scorecards that they keep on judges. Premonition has the world's largest legal database. Think about that. They're not just in the United States, they are looking at the entire world, and they are updating it in real time. So while we're sitting here, Toby's team is uploading the database and keeping track of decisions. Lex Machina is another one that tells you that we can keep score for lawyers. We not only will sell this to your clients, but we'll sell it to your competitors, so they can sell against you by relying on data. Now, some of the questions that come up in this context, obviously, is the law is nuanced. It is not clear what is a win and what is a loss. If my reserve is $1 million and the plaintiff takes $800,000, which one of us has won? In addition, sometimes we make our best law by asking our best lawyers to take our most difficult cases to trial and win them or lose them because we have a broader picture that we're trying to accomplish. So this is one that obviously has some sensitivities around it. Can we use technology to help us figure out which arguments are going to be persuasive? There is a lot of software out there that is doing that in real time. They're annotating statutes and case law. They're providing an analysis of not only your brief, but your opponent's brief. And they're telling you which points are weak, which points are strong, what you should focus on. Can we find the best jurors? And what are some of the issues associated with that? Now, we're all knowing and we're used to finding jurors, and we know where they went to school, and we know where they live, and maybe we know where they work. Voltaire searches everything, including what online petitions potential jurors have filed, where they've made campaign contributions. And it provides all that information to the lawyer on their iPad while they're in the courtroom taking the jurors. Choosing contract terms. Contract lawyers should have called themselves contextual interpretation engines, because that is what the people who are selling software and artificial intelligence systems that analyze contracts call themselves. And one of the ones that's very interesting is Avoco. And what it does is let in-house lawyers set firm red line guidelines. These are the provisions in the contract or agreement you may not change. But everything else is negotiable. So the salespeople can get more contracts done faster without the input of the legal team. There's also programs out there that claim that they will review millions and millions of contracts and highlight for the team which provisions are potentially problematic, such as indemnity agreements, duty to defend, risk-shifting mechanisms, so that you don't have to read the entire contract. And you'll see that they say things like, contract review in a minute or two. Productizing your expertise. Taking all the skills that you and your legal team and your associates have and making it more accessible, not just to the lawyers at your clients, but to non-lawyers. And we're going to spend a few minutes on Neodo, because Neodo is one of the programs that has gained a lot of traction globally with the fresh fields and the link letters. A lot of firms have signed on to this. And it's broken into 3 different parts. The first is what they call the expert advisor, your best thinking, whenever you want it, on demand. Then they have intelligent workflow streams that are supposed to streamline all the administrative process at your firm. And then they have document automation, automating routine documents. And they claim that it is your best professional every day, all the time. So the way it works is they gave it a very catchy name. They call it the Heart of Gold. And the Heart of Gold has rule-based AI. If I see this, then I should do that. So for example, is a worker an independent contractor or are they an employee? So it goes through the process and you fill in the blanks and it answers the questions. Then it has formulas if you're looking to calculate what would the impact of reclassifying 10,000 of our employees be. It's got scorecards, so they generate nice user-friendly scorecards for people to follow. Excel spreadsheets, that's nothing new. Wolfram Cloud is a very complicated mathematical AI program that IBM has. The contract analysis is done through Kira, which is a very well-known system. And then it has predictive analytics, the sort of thing that Toby's firm can do. So we'll just take a look at some of what NYADA claims it can do. On the financial regulation side, whether or not the EU directives apply to a particular transaction. Does my credit counterparty, do I have to be registered with the Futures Association? Am I triggering the FCPA? Do I have export control provisions I have to provide? What do I do if somebody I want to ship things to is on the do not deal with list? What do I do when I have a data breach? Gives you a process flow map to follow if something goes wrong. I want to hire somebody. What's their status? They're a DECA person. What does that mean? Jurisdictional compliance. What do I have to do if I'm doing business in this state? And then assessments of what are the key issues. Now, some of the pushback on some of this is people will say, are compliance issues ever routine? And the sad answer that we found at Swiss Re is yes, some of the time they are. And it might make sense to investigate and be able to provide that kind of service. At the end of the day, it's always all about money, right? And some of you who have worked with Timetrics might know how they market themselves. They go to your clients and they say, we have $50 billion worth of legal spend, and we can help you arbitrage and leverage your legal providers. Now, what if you want to level the playing field a little bit? What if you respond to your clients' inquiries on your cell phone and you can't bill for that time? So maybe you can. You might want to look into in-tap time. This is an artificial intelligence system that keeps track of everything you're billing, no matter where you're doing it. At your laptop at home, at your desktop in the office, at your cell phone at a federation meeting. And you can also tie it into your client's billing guidelines. So it automatically corrects and points out potential issues with entries before they get to your accounting department. Some of these programs promise things like they'll be able to help you rationalize and do profiles and predict profitability One of them, called Smoke Balls, says that it will give you a detailed analysis of exactly how profitable every moment of every day you spend is. We've always used, at least in the last 10 years, software programs to find documents, optical character recognition. We don't need the people to read the documents. We'll let the machines do it. But what artificial intelligence lets us do is take that to the next step. We can now use artificial intelligence to scan all those documents and put them into easily accessible groups that we can then, again, access from anywhere, from your cell phone or from your office. And some of the programs and what they promise are right there. Baker Hostetler made a very big public announcement in how they were using what they called the super intelligent attorney. I don't know how that made the other lawyers at Baker feel, but to make legal judgments when they were doing the e-discovery. DLA Piper and Clifford Chance have already made a big splash in this space in the mergers and acquisitions area. Can we change the way we deliver professional education? There's a lot of systems out there that potentially let you do that. For instance, if you want to you have a specific question. You need to know what the law for DWIs are in Indiana. You can go online to some of these websites, and they'll give you a video-based training session. They can also, Claro is almost like a dating app. It's a mentoring program. It will match up and pay experienced lawyers to electronically train new lawyers on particular areas. This one is a little dodgy. This is something we still have to work our way through as a society. But if you want to know if your spouse or children are lying to you, you will want to investigate the detective analysis and reasoning engine, which has shown millions and millions of video clips of actors testifying in court to machines. And the machine found 5 predictives of deceptive behavior. So if your child is frowning and pursing their lips and tilting their head, they are possibly lying to you. And what they found was that when humans watched the same videos, we accurately predicted that the witness was lying 58% of the time, while the machine got it right 92% of the time. The guys at MIT, I'm a little concerned. They might have way too much time on their hands because they showed the system thousands of hours of episodes of Desperate Housewives and The Office, and they used that to predict whether people would slap 5, shake hands, or kiss. And they claim that the next step is to use signs like that to predict who the bad actors are. So that's one we have to worry about. I'm also a little concerned about systems that market themselves to HR departments as saying we can look at a prospective candidate's profile and create a profile on what kind of person they are based on what we know from their public records and the data that we're getting from all their devices. So for the employment practice lawyers, get in on this because this is going to be big. Another one that worried me when I saw it was a patent that was filed by a company called Introspectin, and it is called Using Classified Text and Deep Learning Logarithms to Identify Risks and Provide Early Warnings. And what they do is they review millions and millions of a company's emails, and then they send a report to the legal department saying these are the emails and the people that you might want to take a look at because these are the people who are potential lawsuits. So a little bit worried about that one. What's going to happen at the end of the day? There will be no robo-lawyers. Just like Excel did not put an end to the accountants, what we're going to use this for is to take tasks, not jobs. AI is going to be an assistant. It's not going to be a replacement. Just the way LexisNexis and computerized databases didn't put an end to legal libraries. They just made them more accessible. The real substance of lawyering, advocating for your clients, analyzing conflicting decisions, making a judgment call on what to do, that's not going to change. Because that's not just collecting information, which is what the systems do. That's acting on it. and again, I don't want to repeat what you heard yesterday, but what lawyers want now, or what your clients want now, is not for you to collect data. They want you to be not a content provider, but a counselor. They want you to be a partner, not a process doer. And one of the things that they found, the ACC did a whole program around this, is that winning the case is less important now than it was 5 years ago. What general counsels, according to one group, but the ACC anyway, want is lawyers who can tell them how to reduce risk, how to reduce the time we spend in a program, and how to cut costs. Some things to think about before your firm dives into this space. Can you take your client's data and repurpose it for AI purposes? When you were drafting your client service agreements, nobody's got a provision in there on who owns this data because nobody thought of any of this. So again, something you might want to think about. Can you get a patent when you do something with AI? Now, the law is pretty clear. An inventor has to be an individual, and an individual has to be a person. But when the machines start thinking and creating things on their own, well, how's that going to work out? Can you be sued for using AI? In New York, in December, we passed a law that said we have to have transparency around these logarithms. Because in New York, we use AI systems to set bail, to decide where the police and firemen stations are put, and which people get visited from social service. And there's not a lot of transparency around that, and the ACLU is all over this. If your law firms have innovation offices and they are spending a lot of time talking among themselves, that is a waste of time. What you want to do is talk to your clients, find out what their pain points are, and bring a solution to them. Regulators are the ultimate disruption killers, and several bar associations in Ohio and South Carolina and New Jersey have already started to take a close look at this. Who is a legal provider? Who needs to be registered with the bar? Why am I so comfortable that your jobs are all safe? Your wife and your kids and your husband already know we are not like other people. We're different, and we have data to prove that. It's called the CalPERS survey. It's looked at over 2 million college graduates, including 5,000 lawyers. And what they found is that we are more skeptical than most people. See, by a long shot, we have more abstract reasoning skills than other people. Again, we really do take a different look and a different approach to things. And more than ever, at the end of the day, people don't change. They make mistakes. They need advocates. This was a study. They put a free Wi-Fi. They offered free Wi-Fi in a cafe in Victoria Station in London. And 6 people agreed to these terms, that they were giving up their firstborn child. If they did not have a child, they were giving up their best pet, and they were doing it for eternity. So thank you very much.